The series begins by showing a guy named Wayne, and he's dealing with these three troublemakers. At first, they're all just glaring at each other, like really mad. But as time goes on, they get fed up with it. Then, one of the guys tells Wayne to scram, but Wayne stays put. So this dude tosses a chunk of hard snow at Wayne's bike. But Wayne, he doesn't even flinch. He picks up that snowball and chucks it right back, hitting the workshop's windows behind those guys, and the glass shatters. Soon enough, the workshop owner shows up and starts giving those three troublemakers a good scolding right in front of his shop. But those three guys blame Wayne for breaking the window, so the workshop owner starts pounding on Wayne, while the three punks smash his bike to bits. Wayne's not too happy about that, so he smashes the workshop window again before just walking away, leaving his busted bike behind. Now Wayne's heading home, and this dude with a dog, Mr. Hernandez, shows up. He's Wayne's landlord and wants rent money from Wayne's dad. Mr. Hernandez won't give it a rest, so Wayne gets all frustrated and throws some sticks he's got. That makes Mr. Hernandez dog chase after him, and Mr. Hernandez slips and hurts his hand. So Wayne gets inside his house, thinking he's had enough of this day, and suddenly there's a knock at the door. Wayne, still ticked off, opens it, expecting Mr. Hernandez. But it's a girl named Delilah, or just Dell for short, selling cookies. Wayne's instantly smitten and invites her inside, trying to get her attention. So, the next day, Wayne's at Haggler High, and he figures out that some of his books are gone from his locker. He doesn't waste any time and heads straight to the principal's office to tell him what happened. When Wayne walks in, he notices two students making a quick exit from the principal's room. Wayne repeats that his books are missing from his locker, but instead of helping, the principal tells him to get out. As Wayne's heading back to class, he spots some guys picking on his best buddy, Orlando. Wayne doesn't even think twice. He goes over there, sorts out the bully, and helps Orlando. After that, Wayne goes over to Dell's place to buy some cookies she's selling. A little while later, while Wayne and Dell are strolling along, her dad and brothers show up and give Wayne a beating. That night, Wayne visits his sick dad, and his dad hands him an envelope filled with money. Wayne's all set to go after the person causing a ruckus with firecrackers, but his dad asks him to hang on and shows him a picture. In the photo, there's a guy and a lady posing in front of a car. Wayne's dad says that car used to belong to him, but got stolen. So, those loud firecrackers were really bothering Wayne's dad. He got all worked up and decided to go confront the person setting them off. Wayne found these two boys who were having a blast with firecrackers and fireworks. He grabbed all the rest of them before the boys could light them up again. But Wayne spotted those boys looking all happy with their parents outside their house. Wayne, he's from a family that's fallen apart, so he felt kinda sad, seeing those kids with both their mom and dad, who love them lots. When he got back home, he got hit hard with the news that his dad had passed away peacefully in bed. Wayne then got everything he needed and hurried to meet Mr. Hernandez, handing over this big envelope. Mr. Hernandez thought it was full of money, but Wayne had tricked him because it was just filled with paper. Wayne also set his house and his dad's body on fire. He also got back at Dell's dad for hitting him by burning down his dog kennel. After that, he casually walked into Dell's house, past her brothers watching TV, and made his way to Dell's room. It is because Wayne wanted Dell to help him get back his dad's stolen car. Dell didn't even hesitate. She said yes. Before they could leave, Dell's brother tried to stop them, but Wayne outsmarted them by dropping a TV down the stairs. Once they were outside, Dell's dad tried to block their way. Wayne fought him, launching fireworks right at him. It was a tough battle, but Wayne got wild and even bit Dell's dad's nose before speeding off with Dell on a motorbike. So, Wayne and Dell set off for Ocala, Florida, thinking that's where the stolen car might be. After traveling a good distance, they stop in the woods to grab some grub, but Dell's not too thrilled with the food Wayne's cooked up. Meanwhile, back in town, Dell's dad and her brothers are at the police station, reporting how Wayne attacked them and saying Dell got kidnapped by him. Switching back to Wayne and Dell, they're chowing down at a simple diner. Dell heads to the bathroom, and a little while later, she calls Wayne from afar, asking him to pick up some sanitary napkins from a nearby store. Wayne does it, even though he's a bit embarrassed and unsure. Now, as Wayne's heading into a convenience store, he bumps into this troublemaker guy. After grabbing what Dell needs, Wayne rushes to the cashier to pay up. But he sees the troublemaker harassing a female store worker who turns out to be the guy's girlfriend. Wayne doesn't just stand there. He ties the troublemaker to a pole and trashes his bike. When Wayne gets back to the diner, Dell's nowhere to be found. But soon enough, he spots her rushing away, looking ticked off because she thought Wayne had ditched her. She teases him a bit for his rough attitude and all the fights he gets into. Dell also starts asking Wayne about the purpose of their trip, and when she sees he's not too sure, she decides to head back home. So, Dell told Wayne not to follow her, and he decided to respect her wishes and headed back to where they had camped in the woods. But when he got there, he caught two teenage guys going through his stuff. They were pretty shocked and scared when they saw Wayne, begging him not to hurt them. One of the guys was eyeing Wayne's jacket, and Wayne offered it to him. These two boys, thinking Wayne and Dell were a couple, gave him some advice not to give up and to go after Dell. Wayne asked about the distance to the bus stop and hoped to get there on his motorbike. But it turns out his bike ran out of gas, and if he walked, he wouldn't make it to the bus stop in time to catch Dell. One of the boys mentioned a shortcut that could get him to the bus stop faster, even though it was guarded by a tough guy named Lee Ray because it was actually a golf course. But Wayne didn't care. All he wanted was to find Dell. He entered the golf course and came face to face with Lee Ray, who had a rifle. Lee Ray warned Wayne not to go any further, but Wayne was determined. Lee Ray ended up firing a blank bullet and threatened to harm Wayne if he told anyone about the incident. Now, let's switch to Dell at the bus stop. She's having a disagreement with a ticket seller named Tracy, who also worked at the diner where Dell and Wayne had eaten before. Meanwhile, Lee Ray takes Wayne to his house and keeps him captive. Lee Ray used a blank bullet to scare Wayne and warned him not to spill the beans about the shooting. So, not too long after, Lee Ray's girlfriend Kyra showed up, and she wasn't too happy that Lee Ray hadn't dealt with Wayne. Lee Ray still kind of felt sorry for Wayne, thinking he was just some spoiled brat, even though Kyra disagreed. Lee Ray suggested to Kyra that they give Wayne a shot, and Kyra seemed to agree. She gave Wayne a challenge with a knife, saying if he could complete it, they'd let him go. Meanwhile, Dell and Tracy patched things up after their argument and had a heart-to-heart talk. Tracy told Dell about Wayne, how he doesn't like coffee but was willing to buy her 3 cups, making Dell see him in a different light. When Dell decided to go with Tracy, she bumped into 2 teenage guys, one of them wearing a jacket just like Wayne's. Dell approached them, and they told her that Lee Ray had Wayne captive. Now in another place, Kyra had her turn and told Wayne to take on her challenge. Out of nowhere, Dell showed up with the woodcutter. While Wayne kept Kyra distracted, Dell attacked Lee Ray with the woodcutter. They managed to immobilize Lee Ray, but Kyra grabbed the rifle Lee Ray had dropped and pointed it at Wayne and Dell. Just when things got intense, Tracy came out of nowhere and knocked Kyra out. After that, Wayne and Dell made up and decided to be friends before they got ready to continue their journey to Florida. They filled up their motorbike with gas and went to the store to get some supplies. Meanwhile, Dell's dad was still searching for them with the help of Sergeant Geller and Mr. Hernandez. So, one rainy night, Dell gave some money to a lady who worked as a prostitute. She asked for help to get a room for her and Wayne in a basic motel, and the lady agreed. The next day at Hagler High, the police were talking to a bunch of students to investigate Wayne's actions. But Orlando, Wayne's friend, told Sergeant Geller and his team that things would have only gotten worse at school without Wayne. Wayne couldn't just sit back and watch other students being bullied when the school did nothing about it. Meanwhile, Dell and Wayne were getting ready to go for a swim in the motel's pool. Out of nowhere, a group of tourists showed up by bus. They were looking to have fun by visiting some places they thought were kind of lousy. Now, Wayne was on the run, and people thought he kidnapped Dell, so she asked him to keep a low profile around the tourists. Dell was having a blast with the tourists, drinking and playing games. But Wayne was a bit on edge, worried that his true identity might come out, and they'd report him to the police. So, in a game of truth or dare, Wayne got into a little disagreement with a guy who thought he was a big liar. Wayne, feeling annoyed, challenged the guy to ride a bike from the motel's upstairs balcony into the pool. The guy thought it was impossible and turned down the challenge. But Wayne, he showed that nothing's impossible. He actually pulled it off. But the motel owner, seeing the place vandalized, called the police. Dell and Wayne made a quick exit, and so did the tourists who tried to run but ended up getting caught. Dell and Wayne managed to hide from the cops and then got ready to leave. But when Dell checked her bag, she saw all her money was gone, and she figured the lady who helped them last night must have taken it. Now, over in Ocala, Florida, there were two guys, one of them matching the photo Wayne's dad showed him. These two were in a car believed to be Wayne's dad's. Then, a caravan trailer smashed into their parked car. They didn't waste any time. They got out and wrecked the caravan without thinking twice. After their escape from the police, Dell and Wayne found an empty house they could stay in. They finally got a good night's rest and cleaned up, especially after losing their money. But then, a real estate agent showed up with a couple interested in renting the fancy house. Dell managed to trick them by dropping a vase of flowers on the agent's fancy car. They barely got away before they could be caught and reported to the police. Meanwhile, Sergeant Geller and his partner, Officer J, were getting ready to head to Florida to find Wayne. Geller wanted to understand Wayne better and believed he deserved a second chance to become a better young man. So, here's the deal. Dell and Wayne are flat broke and their motorbike's out of gas. Dell suggests that Wayne tries working as a day laborer, even though he's got zero experience in construction. Wayne finally gives in to Dell's idea. Meanwhile, Dell heads to a pawn shop, thinking about pawning her late mom's necklace. But she meets a woman and her daughter, who are desperate for money to cover the husband's funeral expenses. Dell decides to help them get the money instead of pawning her necklace. At work, Wayne's boss isn't exactly Mr. Nice Guy. He gives Wayne a hard time, but Wayne bites his tongue because he needs the money. When they get back home and meet Dell, they talk about the woman's husband's funeral, and Dell insists they go. The next day, Wayne's on the job, and oops, he accidentally knocks down the wrong wall. His boss chews him out, but his co-workers step in, saying the wall had mold, so it had to go. The boss just tells them to get back to work. Meanwhile, Dell's at a mall, thinking about buying a black dress for the funeral. But the price tag's a bit steep, and she hesitates. Out of the blue, a store worker takes pity on her and gives her the dress for free. After that, Dell heads to church. Back to Wayne, he's sitting by himself when one of his co-workers offers him lunch. Wayne's grateful and thanks the guy for sticking up for him with the boss about the moldy wall. So, after lunch, Wayne found out that his boss was planning to take illegal immigrant day laborers to the immigration office, trying to avoid paying them. Wayne couldn't just stand by when he saw others being mistreated. He went and swiped his boss's car and chased them down. Wayne managed to stop the car and disable his boss. Then he rushed to help his coworkers. Wayne explained that their boss was going to report them to the immigration office because they were undocumented, so they wouldn't get paid. When the immigrants found out, they thanked Wayne and hurried away. Afterward, Wayne went to church, following Dell, to attend the funeral of the woman's husband. Meanwhile, Dell's dad was spotted refueling his car at a North Carolina gas station. He and Dell's brothers were on their way to Florida to find Dell after hearing that Wayne might be there. Shortly after, a well-dressed man came up to Dell's dad and yelled at him for overtaking his car on the way to the gas station. Dell's dad stayed calm, even though the man kept using harsh words. Eventually, he poured gasoline on the guy. The man thought he was going to get burned, so he begged for forgiveness. But it turned out that Dell's dad was just scaring him, and then continued his journey to Florida. Wayne and Dell are at a fast food joint, but they're flat broke. They're waiting for customers who've paid but haven't finished their food, hoping to grab a bite. While Wayne's in the restroom, some school disciplinary committee guys show up, looking to catch students who've ditched school. They mistake Dell for a student and try to take her away. But Dell, even though she insists she's not a student there, puts up a fight. They end up dragging her away against her will. Wayne returns from the restroom, asks the restaurant worker where Dell is, and learns she's been taken by the school disciplinary officer. He rushes out to chase them. At Alabaster High, Dell finds herself in trouble with two schoolgirls named Trish and Jenny. They become close friends while serving their punishment. Meanwhile, Wayne's best friend, Orlando, is with the principal at an inn. They're on their way to find Wayne in Florida. Orlando believes that Wayne isn't as bad as Dell's dad claims. He thinks Wayne only fights back when he's been bullied or threatened. Wayne finally arrives at Alabaster High, revving his motorcycle through the school halls in a desperate search for Dell. When Dell hears Wayne's motorcycle engine, she sneaks out of the library and hops on his bike. Somewhere else, Sergeant Geller meets Wayne's former boss, who reports to the police that Wayne assaulted him and injured his hand with a drill. But soon enough, Geller learns that this guy regularly cheated casual laborers, especially undocumented immigrants, to avoid paying them. Dell and Wayne meet up with Trish and Jenny, who want to take them to a school dance. Dell's pretty excited about it and wants to go to the party, but Wayne doesn't think the party is such a great idea. Jenny then invites them over to her place and offers them some party clothes. However, Wayne, not too keen on the party, tells Dell that she can stay and enjoy the party if she wants, as he plans to continue his trip to Florida. Dell gets really mad at Wayne, but he just walks away, leaving Dell and her new friends behind. Wayne decides to stop by a fast food joint, where he reflects on the importance of fighting for the woman he loves because opportunities don't come around twice. So, one night at a party, Dell was asked to dance by a good-looking guy, but she turned him down because she was waiting for Wayne. Surprisingly, Wayne showed up at the party, dressed in a stylish pink suit. When he saw Dell talking to another guy, he got pretty mad. But instead of getting violent, Wayne did something unexpected. He knelt in front of Dell and asked her to dance. They had a great time on the dance floor, doing some fun and unique moves. Afterward, they left the party to talk and clear up their earlier misunderstanding. Wayne explained that he didn't want to take away what made Dell happy or force his will on her. Dell was touched by his words and realized she wanted to be with Wayne and share happiness with him. But just as they were talking, Dell's dad and her brothers showed up and attacked Wayne, seeking revenge for what he'd done earlier. However, the students from Alabaster High burst out of the building, fighting back to help Wayne, despite his injuries. Wayne managed to get up, and with Dell's help, they made it to his motorbike and quickly left. Meanwhile, Sergeant Geller and his partner Jay were still trying to find Wayne. Jay informed Geller that Dell's dad had found his daughter with Wayne, and there was a video on social media showing Dell's dad attacking Wayne just a few minutes ago. Wayne and Dell returned to Jenny's house. Dell wanted to take Wayne to the hospital for his injuries, but he refused because he was a fugitive. Dell was frustrated because she had to tend to Wayne's injuries alone. She asked Trish and Jenny for help, but instead of helping, they pressured Wayne to take drugs. Wayne had never used drugs before and tried to say no, but Trish and Jenny forced the drugs into his mouth, and soon enough, Wayne fell asleep. The next morning, Dell woke up and found Wayne looking at her strangely. Wayne told Dell he was really happy to see her, but Dell suspected he might be high from taking drugs. Wayne asked why Dell was sleeping in the bathtub, but before she could explain, Trish and Jenny barged into the bathroom, urging them to hide because Jenny's dad was coming soon. Instead of hiding, Wayne bravely faced Jenny's dad and told him the truth, leaving the man so shocked he couldn't say a word and decided to leave. Meanwhile, Dell's dad and her brothers, who were in the hospital getting treated for their injuries from the fight, were approached by Sergeant Geller and Jay. They wanted information about what happened at Alabaster High involving Wayne and Dell, but Dell's dad couldn't control his anger and blamed everything on Sergeant Geller. He thought the officer was incompetent because he hadn't found Wayne and Dell yet. On the other hand, Wayne and Dell, who were about to continue their journey, stopped at a convenience store to get gas and supplies. While Dell went to the restroom, Wayne saw a news report on TV about a gang incident at Alabaster High. Dell's dad was one of the victims and got badly hurt, so they rushed him to the hospital. Wayne's expression changed, and he seemed to feel guilty for what happened to Dell's dad. He told Dell about her dad's condition and suggested she visit him at the hospital, fearing he might be in critical condition. Wayne decided to wait outside while Dell went in to see her dad. When Dell was about to go into her dad's treatment room, she overheard her dad scolding her brothers with rude words, bringing back painful memories of how he used to treat her harshly after her mom passed away. Meanwhile, Wayne, who was waiting outside for Dell, got approached by a young man named Bradley. Bradley got Wayne some cookies from a vending machine and shared that he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant, and it had completely turned his life upside down. He felt unprepared to be a dad and start a family. After sharing his story, Bradley expressed interest in Wayne's motorcycle. Not too long after, Dell came to meet Wayne and asked him to buy some alcohol. She mixed the alcohol with milk and planned to give it to her dad. This was her second visit to the hospital. However, as they were heading to Dell's dad's room, Wayne and Dell spotted two police officers standing guard in the hallway. In a hurry, they hid in the nearest room, which happened to be a morgue. When they heard someone approaching, Wayne and Dell hid underneath one of the coffins. It turned out that 2 cops entered the morgue to identify a body. They confirmed that the body wasn't the murder suspect they were looking for and left. Dell then shared with Wayne how her father's attitude had changed dramatically after her mother's death. She felt like she'd have no one when her dad passed away, but Wayne assured her that she had him. They shared a kiss. Dell sneaked into her dad's treatment room, gave him the drink she'd prepared, had a brief chat, and left with Wayne. However, Wayne and Dell ran into Sergeant Geller, who started chasing them. Geller tried to talk them out of their plans for Florida, worried about their safety and future. Wayne and Dell ignored Geller, subdued him, and rushed to escape. Jay, who knew about it, followed Wayne and Dell outside the hospital. Thinking he had found Wayne, due to the jacket, Jay immobilized a young man who turned out to be Bradley, not Wayne. Wayne and Dell managed to escape by hitching a ride in a car heading to Florida. When they arrived in Florida, they stopped by a convenience store to grab some food. Inside, some troublemakers caused a ruckus. Dell offered Wayne a cup of coffee, even though he didn't like it. Wayne accidentally spat out the coffee on someone's car hood. To his surprise, the car looked a lot like his late father's. One of the troublemakers from the store ordered Wayne to clean the car's hood. Wayne was pretty angry, but he decided to follow the tough guy's orders, especially since he was with his buddies. He cleaned the car's hood, and suddenly, more troublemakers arrived and hopped into the car. Wayne recognized one of them as the guy in the photo his dad showed before he passed away, which is the guy who supposedly stole his dad's car. Once they left, Wayne told Dell that it was his dad's car. He went back to the store, got the addresses of the troublemakers, and rushed to their place. There, Wayne asked Dell to distract the car so they could get it away while he faced the bad guys on his own. Wayne picked a fight with them on purpose, and he ended up with a bruised face. But when the real brawl started, a woman showed up, trying to stop them. Wayne and the woman were both surprised when they saw each other. It turns out she was his mom, Maureen, who had left him when he was 5. Maureen had married a man named Calvin, the guy in the photo shown by Wayne's dad, and the young man who asked Wayne to clean his car hood was Reggie, Wayne's stepbrother. Wayne and Dell were then invited to have lunch with his mom and her new family. Reggie tried to provoke Wayne by getting special treatment from Maureen, even though Reggie wasn't her biological son. Wayne broke the news about his dad's passing to his mom, Maureen. It left everyone, including Calvin and Reggie, lost for words. The heaviness in the air soon lightened, but Reggie couldn't resist poking fun at Wayne again, flaunting his tight bond with Maureen. This irked Wayne, and he retaliated by throwing a bowl at Reggie, feeling a bit triumphant. While Wayne and Dell were discussing their next steps, Reggie interrupted and whisked Wayne away. Meanwhile, Maureen asked Dell for help with the dishes in the kitchen. Their chat started innocently enough, but it escalated when Dell brought up Maureen leaving her family when Wayne was just a little boy. In her annoyance, Dell accidentally dropped Maureen's favorite pottery bowl, causing tension to rise. Reggie, on the other hand, showed off his new car, a birthday gift from his parents. This got under Wayne's skin, especially when Calvin teased him to change the radiator water. Wayne vented his frustration by slamming the car hood and walking away. Inside the kitchen, Wayne found Dell tidying up the broken pottery pieces. He decided to lend a hand, and as they cleaned, he couldn't help but notice the fridge adorned with photos of Maureen looking joyful with her new family. Wayne's heart sank as he realized that his mother preferred her new family over him, her own biological son. Maureen showed Wayne some old photos from his childhood that she had carefully kept. Afterward, she took Wayne and Dell shopping for clothes and toiletries. Dell didn't seem thrilled about it. She felt neglected, especially when Wayne seemed more eager to follow his mother's wishes than to be with her. Maureen asked Dell to snap a picture of her and Wayne as a keepsake for the fridge, which made Dell feel even more left out. Frustrated by Wayne's continued indifference and Maureen's newfound attention to him, Dell deliberately stole something at the mall. When a mall security officer checked Dell's bag and found the stolen item, Maureen persuaded the man not to press charges. She argued that Dell was just a teenager who needed guidance and discipline at home. The security guard understood and allowed them to go, provided that Dell returned the stolen items. Back at the house, Dell confronted Wayne again, questioning his true intentions in being there. Initially, Wayne had only wanted to retrieve his father's car and leave, but after finding the car and reuniting with his mother, his attitude had drastically changed. He had grown comfortable with his new home and the family he had longed for. During an argument, Wayne discovered a bus ticket to Los Angeles in Dell's bag, leading him to believe she might leave at any moment. They exchanged heated words, and in a fit of anger, Dell decided to sleep in the living room with a pillow and blanket. Wayne began to worry about her shortly after and left his room, only to find that Dell had disappeared. The scene shifts to a moment before, showing a young man running scared towards his home. There's a knock on the door, but before he can open it, he's suddenly attacked by someone who brutally beats and kills him. Back in the present, after leaving Maureen's house, Dell is seen visiting a public swimming pool and decides to spend the night there with permission from a female guard. The next day, Wayne and his mother discuss their next steps. Maureen considers making amends for leaving Wayne. This news brings happiness to Wayne, and he helps his mother create an aromatherapy candle display case, which is a side business for Maureen. However, Calvin is furious upon learning this and demands that Maureen kick Wayne out of the house. He refuses to have Wayne live there or pay for his expenses, even though Wayne has no one else to turn to. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Orlando and the principal, who were about to follow Wayne and Dell to Florida, have a minor accident when they nearly hit a dog in the middle of the road. The incident causes the principal's car to go off the track, but thankfully, no one is injured or killed. Somewhere else, Dell wakes up and is surprised to find the swimming pool crowded with visitors, especially mothers swimming with their babies. She's happy to see this, but the female guard comes back and tells her to leave right away. Stubborn Dell refuses and intentionally jumps into the pool fully clothed. Meanwhile, after a harsh scolding from Calvin, Maureen goes to Wayne with a heavy heart and explains that he must leave the house. She tells him it's Calvin's house, and she doesn't have the authority to let anyone, including Wayne, stay there without Calvin's permission. Wayne is furious and feels betrayed. He starts breaking things in the house and intends to take his father's car. However, Calvin and Reggie had expected this and quickly capture Wayne, holding him hostage. On the other hand, Dell, who is on her way back to Brockton, Massachusetts, doesn't have enough money for a bus ticket, so she's begging at the bus station. Coincidentally, Orlando and the principal are also there, and they finally meet Dell. She immediately hugs the principal and cries in his arms. Elsewhere, Wayne, now held captive by Calvin, is in grave danger as Calvin is about to harm him. Suddenly, Sergeant Geller and Jay appear, demanding to know Wayne's whereabouts from Calvin and Reggie. Sergeant Geller already knew why Wayne came to Florida. Reggie, holding Wayne captive, incapacitates Jay and threatens Sergeant Geller. He insists that Geller goes inside the place, planning to harm both of them. Meanwhile, Dell confides in the principal and Orlando, expressing her desire to go home because Wayne seems to be ignoring her after being reunited with his mother. However, Orlando shares a story about Wayne's willingness to take extreme measures to protect his loved ones, even resorting to violence when necessary. After hearing Orlando's account, Dell realizes that Wayne had confronted the young man who threatened to share inappropriate videos about her mother, and that this very man was later attacked while hiding in his house. Orlando explains that Wayne had been keeping Dell's secret all along and was willing to use violence to ensure her safety. Sergeant Geller accepts Calvin's challenge for a one-on-one fight, using only their bare hands. Although Calvin initially boasted and underestimated Sergeant Geller, the latter eventually overpowers the bigger man with a little help from Wayne. Sergeant Geller then considers Wayne a suspect due to his reckless actions and takes him to Ocala for questioning. He convinces the Florida police to transfer Wayne's case to Brockton, Massachusetts, so he can handle it directly. Sergeant Geller believes that Wayne is not as brutal as Dell's father and brothers claimed, and he shares a bit of his own past with Wayne, offering advice and hoping to meet him again in Brockton. Elsewhere, Dell, the principal, and Orlando visit Maureen to inquire about Wayne's whereabouts. Maureen explains that if the police arrest Wayne, Calvin would also return to jail for assaulting an officer. Hearing this, Dell hurries to the Ocala Police Department, while the principal and Orlando stay with Maureen to assist her as their dog is about to give birth. On the other hand, Reggie releases a wild animal from his captivity to create chaos and divert police attention. His plan is to sneak into the police station, retrieve his car, and harm Wayne. Soon after, the police receive multiple reports from residents about wild animals invading their homes, prompting them to mobilize all available resources to handle the situation. Meanwhile, Reggie arrives at the police station, incapacitates an officer, and retrieves his car keys. A brutal battle ensues between Reggie and Wayne, with Wayne facing a critical moment when Reggie drops a cabinet on him, immobilizing him. Reggie then seizes a police rifle, intending to kill Wayne. However, Dell arrives just in time to thwart Reggie's plans. She passionately declares Wayne as her boyfriend and intervenes to stop Reggie. After subduing Reggie, Dell rushes to assist Wayne. However, Reggie quickly recovers and attacks Dell, choking her and posing a grave threat to her life. Witnessing his girlfriend's life hanging by a thread, Wayne summoned every last ounce of strength, seized his prying hammer, and struck Reggie repeatedly until his golden teeth scattered and Reggie fell unconscious. Wayne then urged Dell to retrieve the car keys from Reggie's jacket. He struggled to move due to his injuries, but they managed to get away. Dell insisted they go to the hospital because of Wayne's severe injuries, but he refused, fearing immediate arrest by the police if they went. Meanwhile, the principal was overjoyed that his dog had safely given birth to puppies and gave them names, reminiscing about his late dogs. Overwhelmed with despair and anxiety, Dell couldn't hold back her tears and decided to confess her love for Wayne. However, Wayne beat her to it, proclaiming his love first. Their moment was cut short when Dell's father collided with their car, causing Dell to faint. Her brothers took Dell away, leaving Wayne at the mercy of her vengeful father. Helpless, Wayne watched as Dell's necklace fell to the ground. He struggled to reach it but lost consciousness just as an ambulance arrived to save him. Following the incident, Sergeant Geller arrested Reggie for assaulting a police officer and causing chaos at the police station. Wayne ended up serving time in prison, but he held no regrets for his actions, cherishing Dell's necklace as the most precious thing in his life. So the moral of the story is when chasing love, don't forget to bring your pride hammer and, if needed, your golden teeth protector.